Not that I'm aware of.
Free Arakan! Free Arakan! Get out! Get out! Free Arakan! Free Arakan! Get out! Get out! No! No!
United Nations! United Nations! Free! Military watchdog! Army's colonizer!
No! No!
United Nations! United Nations! Free! Military watchdog! Army's colonizer!
No!
We allow the courts to legislate, and we allow the legislators to not legislate. We allow the president to
Military watchdog! Army's colonizer! United Nations! Thank you very much!
ကျွန်တော်တို့တော့ပြကြတယ်ဒီကိုခေါ်ပြီးပါမယ်ဒီနိုင်ငံကလည်းအစောဝင်ပြီးဒီမှာဟင်းဒီကပြည်ပေါ်တော့အစောဝင်ပြီးပြည်ပေါ်တော့ဒီလေ
They used to
ပေါ်တော့လည်းဆက်ပြီးကျွန်တော်
They actually, for quite a while, yes.
အဲ့ကိုမင်းရဲ့မှာ
Then after a while, a lot of politics and bureaucracy got involved in that, and I'm guessing a lot of money was supposed to go to the person who was given off.
တော့ဖိုက်ပါပါတယ်
So it used to be you could deliver a letter across the country for pennies.
We are here today to stand for our people as Arakan Americans. They are being murdered. The Burmese army is violating human rights. I am here to say the statement from us, the statement of the Burmese army's war crimes in Arakan. The Arakan state is facing many challenges under the brutal military attacks by Burma, and the Burmese government's clearance operations with jet fighters and helicopters shelling in villages and fierce fighting on multiple fronts has caused immeasurable suffering and loss of life. The Burmese army is committing war crimes which violate human rights. The military abuse in remote ethnic areas have remained virtually unknown because of the severe restriction on releasing information imposed by the Burmese army. And the NLD-led civilian government seems to be maintaining a conspiracy of silence around these crimes. Since the outbreak of war on January 4th, 2019, the Burmese military forces and affiliated militia have committed murder, torture, rape, forcible displacement, and forced disappearance and other inhumane acts. Many of these crimes were perpetrated as a part of widespread and systematic attacks against civilian populations and constitute crimes against humanity. Thousands of people left their homes to flee war, and they are now being sheltered at monasteries and other areas. They desperately need food, medicine, and other materials for their survival. Witnesses and victims describe chilling accounts of how the armed force forcibly displaced entire villages, destroyed, looted, and beat innocent people. They did this all with the barrel of a gun. The military also committed executions, gun rape, and the burning of civilian homes. The Burmese armed force has intentionally and systematically killed innocent civilians at many villages, such as Tamila and Mimbuin, Rathdon district, and Rau'u, Grata, and Punakang townships as well. 7 civilians were killed by the Burmese army at Sidon village and Bulidan township on March 21st, 2019. The military force has destroyed ancient Buddha statues, and pagodas in Darjeeling and Bumfudidan Township in Arakan State, and Raoult, which is an ancient capital of the Arakan Kingdom. The widespread violence that is part of a vicious counterinsurgency campaign that amounts to war crimes and crimes against humanity has contributed to a looming humanitarian crisis, threatening the peace and stability of the state of Arakan. We are gravely concerned about dramatic rise in unchecked violence against civilians. These atrocities and cruel attacks of the Burmese army on civilians are intolerable and a total violation of UN Charter and international law. Civilian-led government in Burma has silenced media and neglected the plight of victims. It is time that Burmese military leaders and perpetrators of human rights violations are brought to justice and accountable for their crimes against humanity. The Arakan army has been struggling to gain self-determination, democracy, national equality, and freedom due to the Burmese army's inhumane actions against civilians. We urge the United Nations and international governments to condemn the Burmese army and to publicly call on the Burmese government to investigate crimes in ethnic areas. I am here to read the statement of the Burmese Army's war crimes in Arakan. The Arakan state is facing many challenges under the brutal Burmese military attacks and the Burmese government's clearance operations with jet fighters, helicopters, and shelling villages and fierce fighting on multiple fronts, which have caused immeasurable suffering and loss of life. The Burmese army is committing war crimes which violate human rights. The military abuse in remote ethnic areas have caused immeasurable suffering. The military abuse on remote ethnic areas has remained virtually unknown because of the severe restrictions on releasing information imposed by the Burmese army. And the NLD-led civilian government seems to be maintaining a conspiracy of silence around these crimes. Since the outbreak of war on January 4th in 2019, the Burmese military forces and affiliated militia have committed murder, torture, rape, forcible displacement, and forced disappearance and other inhumane acts. Many of these crimes were perpetrated as part of a widespread and systematic attack against civilian populations and constitute crimes against humanity. Thousands of people left their homes to flee the war, and now they are being sheltered at monasteries and other places. They desperately need food, medicine, and materials for their survival. Witnesses and victims describe chilling accounts of how the armed force forcibly displaced entire villages, destroyed, looted, and beat innocent people with the barrel of a gun. The military also committed executions, gun rape, and the burning of civilian homes. The Burmese armed force has intentionally and systematically killed innocent civilians at many villages, such as Thami La, Minbu in Ramtadam district, and Raoult, Gauta, and Panegyon townships as well. 7 civilians were killed by the Burmese army at Sidong in Budidan township on March 21st, 2019. The military force has destroyed ancient Buddha statues and pagoda in Thunisapang and in Budidan township in Arakan state, and Raoult, which is an ancient capital of the Arakan kingdom. The widespread violence that is part of a vicious counterinsurgency campaign that amounts to war crimes and crimes against humanity has contributed to a looming humanitarian crisis, threatening the peace and stability of the state of Arakan. We are gravely concerned about the dramatic rise in unchecked violence against innocent civilians. These atrocities and cruel attacks of the Burmese army on civilians are intolerable and a total violation of UN Charter and international law. The civilian-led government in Burma has silenced media and neglected the plight of victims. It is time that Burma's military leaders and perpetrators of human rights violations are brought to justice and accountable for their crimes against humanity. The Arakan army has been struggling to gain self-determination, democracy, national equality, and freedom due to the Burmese army's inhumane actions against civilians. We urge the United Nations and international governments to condemn the Burmese army and to publicly call on the Burmese government to investigate crimes in ethnic areas. We further demand that the military officials are held accountable to bring justice to the Arakan people. Today, we give